who maybe in the past had a chip on the shoulder vis-a-vis the British, and maybe there were reasons for that, and I've no doubt there were reasons for that in the past. Part of the reason why the Irish were able to bring themselves to work so closely with the British was because, and I keep coming back to it, partly as a result of our membership of the European Union, our own economic and social circumstances had been transformed. There was a greater self-assurance and self-confidence. There was we were accustomed over 30 years now within the European Union, day in, day out, to be working with the British as we were working with the French and the Dutch and the Luxembourgers on an equal footing. And the whole relationship with Britain was thereby incrementally transformed. We're now in a better day. We have a peace agreement in place. The governments and the communities are trying to make it work.
It's quite clear that the relationship between Ireland and Britain over Northern Ireland has been transformed, as you said, by the membership of the European Union. But we have a problem in Cyprus, and it's a very important and a critically important problem in a critically important area. I would have thought that that would encourage the European Union, and particularly Greece, to encourage Turkish membership of the European Union, because that is the only way of solving the Cyprus problem. And so my question, quick question for a quick answer. Are you in favor of Turkish entry into the European Union?
Yes. If you want it that quick, I'm willing to enlarge on that, but the short answer is yes. Yes, the Irish government, when we had the presidency of the European Union in 2004, we worked hard to move ahead the process of Turkish accession to the European Union. But it's fair to say that Turkey is a big country. Turkey is a very old country. Turkey, for many in the European Union, is a very distant country. It has borders on Iran. It has borders on Iraq. There are a lot of people in the European Union who still need some time, I think, to get their heads around the fact that the easternmost borders of the European Union might be on the border with Iran.
Yeah, but if you can have NATO in Afghanistan, which is certainly not in the North Atlantic, then why can't you have the European Union going up to Iran?
Well, of course, NATO is a very different kind of organization. It's a military alliance. It's a military alliance for military action.
North Atlantic.
Sure, North Atlantic. But it is a military
Well,
alliance.
your geography is very poor if you think Afghanistan is in the North Atlantic.
It's not as it's not as poor as you think it is. The NATO alliance is a military alliance. Its purpose is to take, in agreed circumstances, military action against threats that it perceives. And we're not a member of NATO. I'm not all that expert in it. But the European Union is an economic, governmental, social union. And union is a very strong word because we have pooled our sovereignty. We have harmonized our standards. It goes into the very fiber of everyday life, whether it's in health, agriculture, industry, sciences, transport, even down to the water standards, whereby beaches around the coast of Ireland receive blue flags or green flags for the highest quality of swimming water or whatever. Those standards are set in Brussels. Standards for design of industrial products, standards for food safety, the whole 9 yards is harmonized in Europe now. And of course, above all else, there is freedom of movement, freedom of residence, freedom of establishment for people and businesses and capital throughout the European Union. Turkey is a country of 80 millions. To absorb 80 millions into the European Union in one fell swoop, and to have conferred on such a huge population freedom of movement, freedom of employment, establishment and capital within the European Union is a very large piece of meat to swallow. It would be a bit like if the United States in one fell swoop were to absorb Mexico. I don't know anybody in Europe who would quickly or blithely commend accession of Mexico to the United States, saying that you ought to do it, it won't make such a big impact.
The reverse is more likely given the number of Mexicans in the United States.
There you are. There you are. That's not a point I'd like to comment on. But at the same time, it's clear that the European Union held out to Turkey from the early 60s the prospect ultimately of joining the European Union. And the Turks are entitled to expect that there will be a steady line of progress to deliver on that promise. We're going through an economic recession. We've just absorbed 10 new members in 2004. We're still trying to work out the full implications of that huge enlargement by virtue of the Lisbon Treaty and other ways. I'm not sure if very soon we're going to get to the stage where we can take Turkey in, but the negotiations continue, and not negotiations in principle, but detailed negotiations on the different sectors that we will need to adjust within the Union in order to absorb Turkey, given that we all have the shared ultimate objective of bringing them in.
One final short question, and then we'll open it up for questions from the floor. You've spoken just now about economic difficulties. Now, you said Ireland is big. It's bigger than Brazil, it's bigger than Australia, it's bigger than everybody who's anybody in trade. But there is a current financial crisis, and it is serious. And the net effect of this credit crunch is that people are not buying. Now, if a country is export-oriented, and if it does not have an internal market, if your population is as small as it is, you have no market. And so you have to sell abroad, and there are no buyers abroad. What is the effect of this financial crisis on Ireland? Is it as serious as it is for Iceland?
It's very serious. Ireland is an open economy. It's the second most open economy in the European Union after Belgium. That means we have a higher percentage of our GNI represented by the combination of exports and imports. It's been like that for a generation. We realized when we modernized our economy 30 years ago that we had to work to export for precisely the reason you described. The domestic market is too small. We took a number of steps to do that. One of the principal ones was to transform the educational sector. We invested heavily over a generation in education. All undergraduate studies at third level in Ireland are free of charge. There's no tuition fee. For 40 years now,
Don't say that too loud here.
There you are. I thought that would be a little hand grenade to throw at. For 40 years now, all secondary school has been free. There's been a very heavy redirection of resources and effort towards technical education, the sciences, and technology. I'll give you an example of what happened. Towards the end of the 80s, things were bad. The economy was not going well. The government of the day invited in the universities and the employers, the entrepreneurs, the business sector, whether they were foreign or whether they were domestic. And thirdly, they invited in the trade unions. And what we'd had up to then was that colleges would produce a number of graduates in this, that, and the other faculty. And those people would then emerge from college and say, I have this, I'm now on the labour market, I'm looking for a job. And I'll try to match my qualifications with what's available in the labour market. What the government did in partnership with the other